Can you imagine what America would look like if slavery still existed today? Most people believe that slavery was abolished in 1865 with the Emancipation Proclamation. Slavery may have become illegal, but it still exists today. In fact, currently there are an estimated 27 million slaves in the world. That's more than twice the amount that was taken from Africa during the entire 350 years of the Atlantic slave trade. You may wonder, how can this happen? And if slavery really does poison our world, it definitely doesn't touch the United States, right? Kevin Bales, president of Free the Slaves in Washington, D.C., and Ron Soodalter, a historian, writer, and lecturer, communicate to us that it does in their book, The Slave Next Door, Human Trafficking and Slavery in America Today. On page 6, it informs, according to a U.S. State Department study, some 14,500 to 17,500 people are trafficked into the United States from overseas and enslaved each year. They come from Africa, Asia, India, China, Latin America, and the former Soviet states. Nor are native-born Americans immune from slavery. Many are stolen from the streets of their own cities and towns. But slaves today are usually hidden from society behind closed doors. As described in the book, slavery is thriving in the dark. The information in The Slave Next Door is astonishing. Bales and Soodalter paint a clear picture of what slavery looks like, deciphering every manner in which slavery takes shape in America to this very day. There are domestic slaves who are told they've received a good job and once they arrive, receive little to no pay. They work from before sunrise to past sunset and are beaten, abused, and held against their will. There are also slaves in the fields where many of our crops are grown. Often workers are trafficked across the borders and sold for a price. Bales and Soodalter repeatedly add anecdotes to bring slavery to reality. The story of Antonio Martinez, a former slave in the fields, commented about his experience. He said, "We were being sold like animals." There are also sex slaves who are forced to work in brothels, receive no pay, and are not allowed to leave. Slavery has also invaded our product chains, ranging from clothing to coffee to those firecrackers you bought last summer. Well, I could go on and on about the other types of slavery that touch our American society, but reading this book could lead to the discovery of more ways slavery has invaded our surroundings, and maybe even that t-shirt you're wearing. This was an eye-opening experience for me. I had no idea that slavery still thrives in America today in so many ways. Bales and Soodalter's first goal is to present the information in a factual manner, providing stories told by former slaves, cited data from reliable sources, and the ways the government works or doesn't work to help put an end to this epidemic. Government involvement is a key subject of conversation in this book. The federal government and non-governmental agencies work to rescue slaves and rehabilitate them, but many times these actions are marked by not enoughs. Not enough money to fund, not enough evidence to prosecute the traffickers in court, not enough knowledge of what slavery truly is for the next-door neighbor of a slave to realize that someone's being held against their will and abused so near to them. Not enough beds in an aftercare center for a former slave to have a place to rest their head. That's why Bales and Soodalter have made it clear that it's our duty to, first of all, know the problem. Know what slavery looks like. You may just come into contact with a slave the next time you go to a massage place or to the grocery store, or anywhere for that matter. And if we work at it, then maybe someday, the not enoughs will become enough. The authors also put great emphasis on talking to the local, state, and federal government and others about what you've learned, and applying your newfound knowledge. They encourage you to write your congressman, to spread the word and request action. Write a local newspaper or magazine asking them to print an article explaining what slavery is in our world today and how to identify it. You could even write a local police station or medical center asking them to provide a training program so that they will be able to recognize slavery when they see it. Surprisingly, police and medical workers are often the ones who come into contact with the slaves. Or even just inform your friend at school, or your parents, or your coach, or anyone who will listen. You can also make wiser shopping choices by buying from companies that are known for fair working conditions in their product chains, rather than the unfair, unpaid, and unjust ones of those marked by slavery. Or write a clothing company and request to know if their products are fairly made. Bales and Soodalter make it clear that awareness followed by action is key, and I think the entire book was written so that awareness would spread and result in action. Because honestly, if we as an American society, government included, are not fully aware of what we're dealing with and don't take action, then how will we ever rid slavery from our notorious free nation? I recently wrote a letter to the Cincinnati Enquirer, informing the editor on the issue of domestic slavery and requesting that the Enquirer post an article about it. And you can do the same. Just because you're a high school student, that doesn't mean that you can't make a difference. In fact, it's the complete opposite. What really helped me and can help you write the letters is the organization of the text. Each different type of slavery or different aspect of it is separated into different headings. I believe that Bales and Soodalter composed the book in this way for the purposes of clarity and reference. By separating each type of slavery into chapters, headings, and subheadings, one can focus their entire mind on one type of slavery, or one way it's getting better, or another way it's getting worse, because the reader has his or her mind fully attentive to that one piece of the slavery puzzle. The information is clearer and easier to absorb. The organization also serves as a great reference source. The different chapters and headings cause finding information quicker and more efficient. For example, if you plan on writing a letter similar to the one I mentioned earlier, the text is a simple way to pull great information to weave into your writing. In addition to easily accessible information, it is also very reliable. Bales and Soodalter include 23 pages of work cited from sources such as the Department of Justice, court cases, first-hand interviews, and more. The organization is constructed in this way to provide specific information in order to initiate action. This text is for you world changers, for those of you who want to make an impact of what many would say is beyond your years. If that's you, if you want to become an everyday abolitionist, fighting for those who cannot fight for themselves, then this book is for you. At the end, it doesn't leave you empty-handed, but rather, it gives you a dream, a mission. So go ahead, write that letter, tell that friend. Think twice about what you're buying, because every step you take brings America one step closer to a future without slavery.